Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. Glass fusing is a lot of fun, but it's also a science and can be a little bit complicated, a little confusing, and a little intimidating to fire your own glass. I understand. I've been doing it for a long time, and fortunately, over the years, I've started with manufacturer's firing guides, and then as I've expanded my body of work and moved into different, more elaborate, more complex pieces of work or art, I've adjusted my firing guides based on what the manufacturers have published and then tweaking it and making my own little adjustments to get just what I need in my firing programs to achieve the results that I want. There's one phrase in the firing program called rate. It's the rate of increase or the rate of decrease that you set for the kiln controller to achieve in a specific hour. Now, the rate can be a little confusing because in some cases we're heating the glass and in other cases we're cooling the glass. So I'd like to go over a few different terms with you. I made a glass fusing understanding firing rates and terms cheat sheet that you will find on my blog. And this is just some terms. I pulled out a few terms specific to what we're going to cover today and put them on one little sheet so you can find them easily. Now I have a full document of terms on my website that covers everything A to Z, if there's even a Z, but it covers everything in alphabetical order. This is just covering stuff in the order of importance for this particular video that we're presenting today. What I'd like to do is shed a little bit of light on the firing process to make it clearer for you, less intimidating, and give you a greater sense of control, because that's really what we want when we're firing glass, is we want to put something in the kiln. We've already put time, effort, money, our heart and soul, even sometimes our blood into these projects. And when we put them in the kiln, we want to have the confidence, the knowledge and the confidence and the inspiration when we do that to know that they're going to come out successfully. So what I'd like to do here is give you a little more insight. Now we've talked about firing guides before. We've talked about how to use a kiln. But this is a little more specific, kind of narrowing our focus into the rate. And let's talk about that and be a little more specific to make it clearer and hopefully easier for you to understand. All right, I'd like to start with a few very basic things. Kiln. What's a kiln? It's a high temperature oven, usually electric. Kilns are designed for ceramics, or they also work for glass, but we use special kilns, usually lower kilns, shallower kilns for glass, because in general we fire one layer at a time because the glass is sensitive to temperature. So stacking it gives you uneven results in your projects. That's why most of the time glass kilns are relatively shallow in nature and not real deep like ceramic kilns. You might remember from your school days when you had the art department with the big kilns, and those were very tall like barrels. Well, glass kilns are generally kind of short, and the purpose of that is to get even heat on the entire surface of the glass, which when you have things stacked and really tall, you don't get that even heat. Firing guide. This is a step-by-step schedule to fire glass of certain size and thickness to achieve a specific result. So a firing guide or fusing guide is basically your recipe, your map, your outline, what you're going to follow and set your kiln to do in order to achieve specific results. Now your firing guide, it's longer for bigger projects that are thicker. It can be shorter for projects that are smaller and thinner. So it's determined by the size and thickness of your project as to how long that firing guide might be and how many steps it might have. A segment. A segment is the steps in a firing guide. Think of it like a staircase. There's all these different, instead of, just throw cookies in the oven, you have one temperature, put them in for 20 minutes, take them out, done? No. With glass, because it's sensitive to temperature change, we change the temperature in the kiln at different periods of time in order to achieve specific results and make sure our glass comes out safely. So we're going to be using different temperatures, so those steps and segments are basically what break down those different parts of your firing guide. And a full fuse. A full fuse is when you take your glass, you stack it together, you completely melt the pieces together to the point where the top is smooth and you have rounded edges. When you look at the edge, you can't tell the difference between the top and bottom layer. It's smooth and has shoulders, soft shoulders. And those top pieces, there's no texture, completely smooth. All right, let's talk about rate. Well, before we do that, let me go ahead and, Nikki went ahead and made this terrific little graphic here for us. So let's talk about rate. Well, before we do that, let me show you this firing guide right here. This firing guide has, right here we've got, this is basically how a firing guide would be laid out. There's segments, there's rate per hour, temperature, and then hold in minutes. Segment, these are our steps. Our rate here, this is the temperature increase or decrease that we want to achieve in the kiln in a specific hour, per hour. And then the temperature. These are the temperatures you want to take the glass to for COE 96 and for COE 90. And then at this step number 1, segment number 1, you're going to, once you achieve that temperature, you're going to hold there for a period of time, and in this case, it's 60 minutes. So each of these different steps break down the firing process to ensure that you have good results and success. Another thing that's important to notice about a firing guide, right here it says full fuse. This firing guide is for a full fuse process. Each of my firing guides, right here in this corner, you'll see the phrase will be different. Be full fuse, slump, tack fuse, drape, any number of different processes that you want to achieve, that'll be determined or identified for you right here. Now, I'm not going to go into these numbers in this specific presentation because you have this in detail on my website. You go to Firing Guides and More section on the website. There's all these documents there that you can you can either read them right on the website, or you can download them to your computer, and you have all this in black and white right in front of you. So if you have questions about something specific, go ahead and put it in the comments. We'll be glad to address it. But there's no point in going into all of that material right now because this is specific to when you're doing whatever process you're doing and whatever kiln you're doing and whatever size the project is. Another thing you'll notice here, well, it doesn't say it on this one, but these are for projects 12 inches in size or smaller. When you go bigger, you're going to have a longer firing guide, more steps, and everything's going to be done slower. All right, so the real reason for this presentation is rate. When we have a firing guide, we start here. This is going to be room temperature. So, okay, this is room temp. I'm sorry, I'm writing sideways here and it looks crazy. So this is room temperature, which actually would probably be somewhere around here. And we take the glass from room temperature, we take it slowly. Now, glass, let's say this is 1,000 degrees. Glass is sensitive to temperature change between here and here. This is where it's going to break on the way up if it's going to break. So we go slow in this area right here. Once we get to 1,000, we can go a little bit faster up to our target temperature. The target temperature is the temperature we take the glass to achieve a specific result. So 1465 is the full fuse temperature for system 96 or 96 glass. So what we might do here, let's see what this firing guide says. Our first rate is 300 degrees per hour to 1300. Let's see, so that's going to be around here. So from here to here, we're going to go at a rate of 300 degrees. I'm sorry, it looks like an 8 per hour. Okay, so if we take, I'm going to need my phone for this. Right here. Okay, if we take 1300 degrees, here we go. Oh, pulled up my calendar by accident. 1300, and we divide it by 300. It's going to take 4.3 hours for our kiln to go from here to here. Okay, so even though the rate is 300, you divide that by the temperature and it gives you how long that's going to take. So we're going to go a little over 4.25 hours from here. So let's say 4 hours, 20 minutes, just to average it out, just to go from here to here. So let's say 4:20. Okay, is that right? Did I do that right? What? 4 hours and 20 minutes, whatever. Okay, math is not my thing. So I'm working hard here for you guys, know that. And it's hot, gosh, it's hot. But, okay, I want to try to explain that. So here, even though the rate is 300, it's going to take 4 hours and 20, approximately, to get from here to here. Then once you're here, okay, we're going to change our rate. Oh, it's going to be 300 degrees an hour. So we're going to go 300 degrees an hour from 1300 to 1465. Okay, so the difference between 3 and 4, that's going to take less than an hour for that to happen because we're going to go at a rate of 300 degrees an hour. Now we're going to hold here for a period of time. In this program, we're going to hold, ooh, I'm totally messing this up. Here, at this rate, we're going to hold for 60 minutes, okay? That's our first rate. Our second rate here, we're going to hold for 10 minutes till we achieve the desired results. Now, after this hold, we have another rate, okay? And this rate is 500 degrees an hour to 950. So let's say this is right here is 950, right here, okay? We want to go 500 degrees an hour. Now, this is the confusing part. Your kiln does not turn back on. 500 degrees is an arbitrary number. Very often, the notation on the firing guide will be as fast as possible for this right here, as fast as possible. So what that means is this drop in temperature, when it's say rate per hour 500, I don't know that my kiln, any of my kilns are going to drop temperature 500 degrees an hour. Most likely they are not. They're going to, that time will have no idea how long that really takes, unless I'm sitting out here hanging out with my kiln, because really what this means is the kiln is off. It's not, the controller's still on, but it is not cycling temperature. The rheostat is not coming on, and the kiln is just kind of in a hold position, a stationary position, and it's going to do nothing until it reaches this temperature. When it reaches this temperature, it's going to come back on in order to hold there for 60 minutes, according to this program. So I hope this helps you. So 300 degrees an hour rise here we are in control of. The 300 degrees rise here we are in control of. We are in control of this. This drop in temperature, it's a rate. Yes, it's a rate we're trying to achieve, but it's kind of arbitrary because it's really dependent on your kiln and its environment. If your kiln is in, somewhere where it's very cold, maybe it'll drop more quickly. If it's an environment where it's kind of warm, it's going to drop more slowly. So this, even though we're putting a temperature in there and we have a rate there, is not really under our strict control to make that happen. Now sometimes there are times when you want to make this slower. If you wanted to make sure, if you have something really, really thick in your kiln, really big, and you want to ensure that this is 500 degrees an hour, by having that plugged into your controller, if this is cooling faster than that, then the kiln will come on and ensure that it doesn't cool any faster than 500 degrees per hour. Every rate is always per hour. I hope that's clear. Okay, after it's held at this point, all right, at 960, 950, 960 for 60 minutes, then we want another rate of 500 degrees an hour down to 800. Okay, there again, this basically means the kiln will, if this is cooling any faster, if the kiln is cooling all by itself any faster than 500 degrees an hour, the kiln will come back on, add a little bit of heat to ensure that it cools slowly. For the most part, it's probably not coming back on at all. The only time this is really important is if you're doing something very big. I have a program that I did in my big blue kiln that was 5 days. I guarantee the kiln came back on in that period of time, because instead of being 60 minutes, it was probably 3 days. Okay, so yeah, the kiln's going to come back on to make sure we don't go below 500 degrees in those 3 days. So yes, but if it's just something, something small that you're working on that's going in today, coming out tomorrow, it's not really necessary. The whole point of the rate is that you are trying to stay in control of that firing, so by being in control, you can control the results and the consistency of those results, which consistency is really important. That's why all the time people ask me, should I buy something from the hardware store? Should I buy something from, the home department of a store to use in my kiln? No, buy those, whatever you're gonna put in your kiln, you should purchase from your art glass supplier that is specific for glass fusing. The biggest reason, number one, is safety. You don't know how it's gonna react to high temperature. Number two, inconsistent results. If you're buying your materials, your supplies, your molds, your forms, your paper, all that from your art glass supplier, and it's intended to be used in a kiln, you are pretty much guaranteed you're going to have the same results every time, unless you change something drastically in your firing program. So consistent results are as important as anything else, because you're spending time, money, effort. You're putting blood and tears into these pieces. I'm also putting sweat into them. You want to make sure you have the same results every single time. The same great results every time. Okay, so after we have done this cool, we're going to bring it, it's going to the kiln's going to turn off here. Not turn off, it stays on because you can still read the controller, but it's not going to add any more temperature. It's not going to click on anymore. And we're going to bring it down to room temperature. This time right here, you want to allow the kiln to cool on its own without disturbing it till it's back down to room temperature, whatever that temperature is. If I look at one of my kilns right now, let's see. Oh, they're not telling me because they're all on standby, so no one's telling me. But it's probably like 88 in here. So we want to wait till that glass comes down to that temperature before we open the kiln and look. All right, I just noticed a quick thing on this list here. Quick cool is one of the items on here we did not go over. A quick cool, and at this point, sometimes we want to cool the glass quickly down to the annealing temperature to ensure we freeze the results that we want. A quick cool is when you actually, on site, when you're firing, and when after the glass gets right here and reaches the temperature that you want and the desired results you want and has had the hold you want, you open the kiln a little bit to release the temperature out of there fast to make this happen more quickly. There are some types of projects where that's desirable. Most of the time, we just don't even bother. If I fire my kilns pretty much, I'm just out here doing my thing. I'm not really paying attention. Once they're started, I leave them alone until I see room temperature again. But quick cool happens in this phase right here, this stage, and it's where you open the kiln to allow that temperature to drop quickly in order to maintain or freeze or solidify the results you have, and then you close the kiln before it gets that critical time, that critical temperature of 1,000 degrees, because between 1,000 degrees and room temperature, the glass is sensitive to temperature change again. So if your glass is going to break, it's between here and 1,000, or it's between here and between 1,000 and room temperature. So in this area right here, you can move kind of any speed you want. It's a matter of, ensuring that your glass has a great shiny surface. You're not creating devitrification, which is a whole nother video. We'll go over that a different day. But for today, the main ingredient here, main topic is rate. And I want you to know that rate is sometimes referenced on the way up, sometimes referenced in the hold, and sometimes referenced on the way down. And on the way down, it doesn't necessarily mean the kiln is turning on, which you think rate per hour, 500 degrees, we're turning on 500 degrees an hour. No, we're just allowing the kiln to cool on its own accord. I'd like to show you what a firing program or guide looks like on a couple of different kilns to give you an idea of what you're looking for. In my program here, I have segment, rate, temperature, and hold. Let's go check it out on some of these kilns. Come on over here. This is an older even heat kiln. It's an oval, and this is a Rampmaster 2 controller. It has a full keypad here, a bunch of different options. Right now it has user 1. That means program number 1. This kiln will retain 8 programs. You can change them at any time, but you can re-access those programs just by pulling up user 1. Then we hit enter. It tells us it's complete. Thank you. All right, let's recall the program. User 1. We're going to hit enter. It tells us it's complete again. Okay, we don't want to do that. Let's do review program. Okay, all right. So, look, it's going to go through everything really fast on us. We'll have to come back to this and go slower. All right, let's see. We're going to come back to the beginning. All right, let's let it go through. What happens if I hit enter? Does it go faster? Yeah, it does. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's try this. User 1. All right, we're going to enter program. User 1. Segment. Okay, that means segment 6. There's 6 steps. Oh, I'm sorry. Segment 3. There's 3 steps to this program. I'm just going to sit on the darn floor here. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is segment, and there's 3 of them in this program. Now let's hit enter. RA represents rate. Rate number 1 is 300 degrees per hour. Okay? Then it's going to go to a temperature of 1,300 degrees. So this is rate number 1 is 1,300 degrees. And it's going to hold there for 30 minutes. So it's segment, rate, hold, just like on the firing program over there. Now we'll hit this again. Now it's going to say rate number 2, so it's segment 2. So rate 2 is 500 degrees per hour. And it's going to go to 1465. It's showing us temperature, the second temperature, and it's going to hold there for 10 minutes. Okay, that's great. That's our full fuse temperature. All right, now rate 3 is 500 degrees an hour to 960. That's our annealing temperature. And it's going to hold there for 40 minutes. This is for small projects. All right, and then is there an alarm? Alarm means it'll just stop and turn off at this temperature. I've never really used it, but it's just on there, so I add a number. You can add any number you want there. And then it's telling us it's complete. And then it's telling us it's stopped. So basically, we just did an enter program, but I didn't change anything from what was there before. And now we'll do recall program, user 1. We hit enter, says it's complete. All right, and then we hit start. Now we're running program number 1. Okay, now we hit this again. Oh, here it's turning on. And it's 71 degrees in here, we now know, but I think it's a lot hotter than that. Go there, now it's going to stop. And after a second, it'll go to idle. 71 and idle. So perfect, thank you. All right, now they have a newer generation controller, which I have on a different, sorry. Yes, you see what I'm doing here for you? We are sweating because we can't have the fans on while we're taping because then you can't hear me. We're sweating, we're moving around the studio, and we are getting on our hands and knees. And fortunately, there's no bugs out here today. Unfortunately, I didn't get cut. So let's go to another kiln over here. All right, come on. Be careful, Nikki, because we have all sorts of trip hazards here. All right. We have Titan, our studio pup right here. He's helping. Thank you, Titan.
It's like a puddle.
He does. Okay, now if let's see how we can get close to this one. All right, this is a Scott Firebox 14, and it has what we call a 3-key controller. 3-key means there's only 3 buttons. So we have a start, stop. It's at idle, and it's telling us it's 90 degrees in here. I believe this one more than I believe that one. All right, we hit the start, stop button. It's in pro mode. Program number 1, okay? Now it's going to tell segment. There's 3 segments, so SEG, that's a G. There's 3 of them. Hit start, stop. The rate number 1 is 500 degrees per hour. It's going to go to 1300 degrees. So temperature 1, 1300. It's going to hold there for 40 minutes. Then rate number 2, RA2, is 500 degrees per hour. It's going to go to 1400. So temperature number 2 is 1400. It's going to hold there for 10 minutes. Hold, that's a hold, and then number 2, 10 minutes. Then rate 3 is 500 degrees to a temperature of 960. So temperature 3, 960. It's going to hold there for 40 minutes. And then that's the end of this program. This is ready. And now we're firing. 90 degrees, 71. I don't know what that kiln was talking about. That kiln is bigger, so maybe it's cooler because it's bigger inside. And it's not near the door. All right, then we're going to turn that off. All right, there we go. Now we're stopped again. Papa Joe is babysitting for us while we're taping because we have 2 little ones here today. And he's carrying one like a suitcase and holding the little hand to the other one in the background here. So do you see what we're doing here for you on this video, man? All right, one more kiln, then we're get done for today. Okay, come on, over here. Now this is a Scott clamshell kiln, and I have this fabulous, awesome digital controller here. And this is what the program looks here. All right, so this is program number 1, or program for full fuse small. Here are my segments, here are my rates, here are my temperatures, and here are my holds. So I hope seeing this in 3 different ways helps you understand. This is kind of laid out in a graph. It's really easy to see. Now here, if we look at the graph, it shows us again what that program looks like in graph form, which is really cool. And you can see it's going to go up slow. We're going to hold, go up a little bit, go down, hold, go down, and then let's see if I can. I don't know if I can see through half of that. I'm not sure. Anyway, so there's the graph. Now we're going to go back. And we go back again, and then at this point we would hit, this is the program, it tells us the name, the alarm, estimated time is 8 hours and 11 minutes, 4 segments, peak temperature 1425, and then here we can view the program, here we can start the program. So get a lot more information visually on this particular controller. Of course, this is an upgrade, but it's a cool feature depending on how much you're firing. And when you get firing bigger and more stuff, it's an advantage because you get really consistent results. Thanks for joining me. I hope you found this helpful, and even if you're not firing your own stuff, if you're having it fired elsewhere, now you know what they're going through and what they're doing for your benefit of your projects. And it's not hard, it's not complicated. Once you actually get yourself, set up, it's easy. And for my kilns, like the even heat kiln you saw earlier, I have this kiln. You can pull up all the programs and visually see them there. For my other kilns, I have a little cheat sheet here. This tells me, Big Blue, the kiln behind us, number 1 program is full fuse sinks. Number 2, slump large not sinks. 3, slump large thick sinks. 4, slump small. 5, full fuse small. 6 is a question mark, I don't remember what's there. This is the program that I constantly change whenever I need something new. 7, full fuse large kites, and then 8, tack small to match pieces made in a different kiln. So what I'm suggesting here is, yes, this seems intimidating. Yes, it's a lot. But once you get the hang of it and you get that material, that information plugged into your kiln, you're good to go. You just make yourself a little cheat sheet for those programs. And now that you understand the rate and what's happening inside your kiln, it takes a little bit of the mystery out of it, but it also puts a lot of mystery back in, because now the mystery goes to being creative and not to being scientific. Now, if any of the math in this is wrong, I'm sorry. Math is not my thing. Matter of fact, I became interested in math when I became an artist because I needed it to calculate the cost of making commission pieces. If anyone told me in high school I would ever care about statistics, I would have told them you're a big fat liar. Well, guess what? With my YouTube channel and my website, I love statistics. I especially love when they're going this direction, right? But how cool is that? All right, so any of the math in here is wrong. I apologize. Do your own math. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to help you broaden your skills and your knowledge so you're more comfortable moving forward with your glass fusing. So thank you so much for joining me. Please follow, like, subscribe, and give us your comments. We'd like to know how you like this video and how you like our others. Become a premium video member. What are you waiting for? We've got a bunch of videos coming out all the time, great projects, step-by-step video instruction, printable pattern ebook with full-size patterns, firing guides, project-specific firing guides for the different types of things we're doing, and also color images of those pieces, as well as material list and tips so you have the greatest success you possibly can. And if you have questions, I'm here for you. So become a member. We'd love to have you. And until next time, get out there, fire your own kiln, have a great time. Don't worry about the heat, don't worry about anything else. Just enjoy yourself, and happy fusing.